This video introduces the Landmark Analysis Project. The goal of the Landmark Analysis Project is to help you to nurture skills in rhetorical analysis. We'll then demonstrate those skills and capacities through analysis of a monument, a building, a street, or a landmark of interest or importance to you, to your culture, or to your community. Now let's get started. So let's talk about project number 1, the Landmark Analysis. This is our first project for the semester. The goal of this project is to help you nurture skills in rhetorical analysis. This assignment challenges students to locate, analyze, and reflect on the rhetorical impacts of a specific public landmark or object. Now, typically when I teach this project, I have everyone find a landmark or object or monument in the Clemson area, typically on the Clemson University campus. But since we're online, we're going to open this up to any public monument, object, landmark, or art installation that makes a public argument using rhetoric. So the focus of this project is to explain and analyze how the monument or landmark that you choose works rhetorically. How does it persuade citizens? How does it represent a particular narrative, a particular history, a particular culture, or a particular group of people? How specifically does it remember, project, memorialize, protest, or envision? What does the landmark argue for or argue against? What narratives does it leave out, ignore, omit, or not consider? How does it depict history? Who's going to like it? Who's going to not like it? And finally, how is rhetoric tied into all of this? Now remember, the goal of this project is not just to tell the story of a monument or the history of a monument, but most importantly, the goal of the project is to analyze how the monument, landmark, or art installation uses rhetoric to make an argument to the public. So how does it say something to the public? So this top image that I have is the Hope Gallery in Austin, Texas. I think probably makes arguments related to creativity, related to culture, related to, I don't know, you all can interpret that how you'd like. I definitely see lots of arguments related to culture, related to diversity, related to heterogeneity here, and related to the value of street art to project public feelings. Now, right here, you're looking at Old Main. This is one of the oldest buildings on the Clemson campus. I'm guessing you're somewhat familiar with it, maybe. It was formerly known as Tillman Hall. Its original name was Old Main, which it has been returned to. The name was changed in the 1950s, but it was renamed in the 1950s after Benjamin Tillman, who was an avowed white supremacist and an opponent of civil rights. But anyways, so the perhaps one of the harder parts of this project is just picking a monument to study. So you can select a landmark or a monument of interest to you, some sort of a memorial, a street, a public art piece, a building, a historical marker. Any of the examples that I have in this Adobe Spark page are great, but the three requirements are simple. The landmark that you choose has to make an argument in some way using rhetoric. This can be, of course, explicit and direct. Or it can be more implicit and hidden. It can be kind of obvious. It can be a clear argument that is very definitive, or it can be a little bit more beneath the surface, a little bit more, beneath the obvious layers, a little bit more implicit. That is fine too. Secondly, the landmark or object or monument that you choose must be a place, a thing, or an experience that members of the public can visit and interact with in some way. And then thirdly and lastly, the memorial or object that you choose must lend itself well to rhetorical analysis, meaning that the argument that an argument about history, culture, representation, or values must be made to the public in a way that can be potentially impactful, in a way that you can trace and do a rhetorical analysis upon. So if it's not going to fit the need to perform a rhetorical analysis on the monument, then it's not going to be a good choice. Now, you have lots of freedom for how you choose the monument. Choose one that means something to you, but also choose one that's good for the project. Just because you like something doesn't mean it fits the project well, and that's something for you to consider. All right, so I would definitely heavily suggest revisit the assignment prompt a couple of times. I go into a lot more detail in the prompt than I am able to do in this video. So what you're looking at is a brand new mural. This is on the Canvas Tower building. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. It was just built this summer, I should say. The building is quite old, but the mural was just painted this summer. It celebrates Pearlie Harris. She is one of the first African-American teachers to work in a Greenville public school. This was during the era of segregation and desegregation, roughly in the 1960s and 70s. So this would be a great example of a piece of public art or a building that makes an argument. You could certainly argue that this piece of art, this public document in a lot of ways, makes lots of arguments about inclusion, about the value of education, about the value of African American history to Greenville, South Carolina, of the value of particularly a black woman to Greenville, South Carolina. You can certainly make the argument that this piece of public art, extends all of those arguments. So this could be a really good choice. All right, so in your analysis of your landmark, be sure that you consider the broader narratives that connect this object or site to a larger social discourse. Always remember the aim of this project is to both reflect on and employ the rhetorical tools that we've talked about so far in this course, such as the rhetorical appeals, arrangement, audience, and cultural logics, etc. You're performing a rhetorical analysis, not telling us everything we need to know about a building. So this is Fort Hill, named after... not named after, but it was lived in by former vice president and senator from South Carolina, also a defender of slavery, John C. Calhoun. Also was lived in by Thomas Green Clemson, the namesake of Clemson University. So that could be certainly another choice that someone could pursue. You can pursue something that is Clemson related. You can pursue an object or a memorial or a landmark that is in your hometown, anywhere you would like, really. Anyway, so you can submit your landmark analysis in a variety of forms. Likely the most common form is going to be a written essay. It should be 1,500 words, 1,500 words. That's roughly about 4 pages double-spaced, give or take. 1,500 words in 12-point Times New Roman font with at least 3 outside sources beyond the monument itself. Make sure that those are cited properly with MLA formatting. I will communicate how to do that to you in case you're not familiar. Totally fine, completely expected at this point. Be sure that you include a photo or a video that showcases the landmark, just so I and your classmates know what we are looking at, what you're talking about. And you don't have to take that yourself. You can pull that off the internet somewhere. Just make sure that you properly cite that photograph or that video. Now, secondly, if you would like, I'm guessing like the typical assignment is probably just going to be a written essay. That is great. That is fine. There will be lots of great grades given out to written essays. However, if you would like, there are 2 other alternatives for how you can submit this project. You can make an Adobe Spark page. Adobe Spark is free to you as a Clemson student while you pay in your tuition, but that is neither here nor there. Spark page is what you're looking at right now. It's what I built this assignment prompt with. Spark page is really simple to learn, and it's very simple to use. You can probably teach yourself Spark page in 20 minutes or so. I have made a YouTube video, which you can watch here. You can go ahead and watch that. That'll show you the ins and outs, but I can always briefly showcase and teach you Adobe Spark page in office hours. Then lastly, if you'd like to make a video, you can certainly do that as well. The video should be 3 minutes long, with 3 sources. You'll see that I've made a video on how to use Adobe Spark Video, but I can additionally help you learn really any video editing project, program or software that I'm personally familiar with. So that would be like Adobe Spark is a very easy one, a very simple one that is perfect for the parameters of this project. But also I could help you with Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro Rush, or probably really any video editing program. It just might not be instantly familiar to me. Anyways, if you'd like to make a video, 3 minutes, you can do that. But basically the TLDR, too long did not read for this, is that you can write a written essay of 1,500 words. You can make a Spark page if you would like, or you can make a video. Only do one of those 3. All are great. All will be graded the same way. All right, so you're looking here at the Texas African American History Memorial in Austin, Texas. It's a beautiful memorial. I have been here. This is really, really great looking. I think it's relatively new. It might have been built just a few years ago. So you'll have the rubric. You can read through these in more depth on your own, but basically 20% of your grade for this project is graded based upon the rhetorical analysis that you perform. That is the bulk of the project. That is the most important thing. How deeply does the landmark analysis project engage with the primary goal of this assignment to analyze the rhetoric that a particular monument or landmark displays? Secondly, you're going 20% of your grade on this project will be determined through the rhetorical vocabulary that you display. So to what extent does it engage the rhetorical vocabulary that we've been developing so far this semester, such as engagement with rhetoric, with the rhetorical appeals of ethos, pathos, and logos? See that video. with audience, with kairos just meaning timing or context, with visual rhetoric, or with public memory, meaning how stories, narratives, cultures, and peoples are remembered publicly. 20% of your grade for the project will be your engagement with the landmark's narrative. Basically, it's cultural, sociological, personal, and historical narratives. 20% will be based upon your academic research. This is not a research project, really. You have to find 3 sources that will back up your case, back up the narrative that you're painting for your landmark or your historical marker. Those do not have to be academic journals. Those do not have to be conventionally, quote-unquote, scholarly. Those can be from newspapers. Those can be from reputable websites that you trust. Ideally not from random clickbait that you find in the depths of Twitter, but ideally from the New York Times, from the Washington Post, from the Guardian, from some respected newspaper, or from some local paper, say from your hometown if you're writing about something in your hometown, or say from something in Clemson if you're writing about a monument or building in Clemson. And then finally, 20% will be voice, style, and process. We will do peer review. We'll do peer review with a technology called Flipgrid, where you'll all make short little videos for each other to peer review the projects that you produce. But more on that later. You can go through the assignment prompt and look at all of these historical markers, all of these photos. You'll see this is a photo I got at Arlington Cemetery in Washington, D.C. A few months ago. You'll see this is the Old Stone Cemetery in Clemson, where there is I didn't want to show it here, but there is a Confederate flag on the tomb, and it's right here in Clemson, South Carolina. It's still around. Anyways, so if you have questions, concerns, or issues, definitely contact me, jdrich@g.clemson.edu, or come to office hours. Be aware of the due dates. There is going to be a first draft that is not going to be graded, but it's due in a week, and then there will be a final draft that will be graded in peer review in between that. So this project is 20% of your final course grade, but it should be exciting, and have fun with it. Best of luck on the landmark analysis project. Remember, you can always reach out to me over email or in office hours. Have fun with this, be creative, and as always, push boundaries. Henry, you're ruining this video for me, bud. Okay, Henry, I'm trying to record a video for my students, and I'm not sure they're going to appreciate you giving yourself a bath in front of them. No regrets? Nothing to say for yourself? Okay. Just what we needed, another cat. Oh, come on, cats. This is not working out well. This is not going well.